More of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy comes your way now. And make sure to join me, Larry Elder, tonight at 7, only on AM 560, The Answer.
How about the timing of that? Larry Elder, Sage of South Central. Of course, on our airwaves, as he just mentioned, 7 to 9 p.m. Also, we got a big live event coming up Thursday, May 17th at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. We did this last year with Dennis Prager. This year, it's cigar night with Larry Elder and me. We'll sit down, light up a couple of fine cigars, enjoy an adult beverage together, and we'll discuss the big issues facing our country: cultural Marxism, race relations, immigration, taxes, all that jazz. It's all fair game with Larry Elder and myself at Cigar Night. Tickets are on sale right now. Premium tickets include a VIP meet and greet reception with the Sage and me, along with a copy of Larry's forthcoming book and a complimentary cigar. The last time we did this, the event sold out. So go to 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. And join Larry Elder and me on May 17th.
Any women show up last
Yes,
year?
there were several. It was like super hot.
That
night. Remember that? You were there for a while, weren't you?
No.
Oh, you weren't.
I thought about coming, but then
it was really hot. We did it in a tent outside, but it was fun. It was a good time, and Prager was great, of course, and
you were, I'm sure, were fantastic because you're going to be great tonight. You have the big debate with Donna Brazil at the Meadows Club. Tickets are still available. They're at the door. Just come on by. The event starts at 7:30, but the doors open at 6 p.m.
Well, that's why we've got the Sage on to help me with debate prep. So joining us now, the aforesaid Larry Elder, host of the Larry Elder Show. Larry, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Morning, Dan and Amy. How are you?
Good.
That's pretty exciting, debating Donna Brazil. I'm sure you're going to bring up the fact that she cheated during the debate and somehow got Hillary the questions ahead of time.
No,
that's right.
No. I'm above such gutter politics, Larry. I would never do such a thing. But I will bring up that Walter Isaacson on her book jacket, his quote on her book jacket called what's that book called again? Hacks. Called her enchantingly self-aware, and I've never heard that term used before. So I enjoyed it so much. That's how I'm going to refer to her. Her enchantress.
I also suggest bringing up the Washington Post interview she did when she was the campaign manager for Al Gore and referred to the Republican Party as having a white boy problem or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
Good. I'm glad we have Larry on.
I tried to page
a white boy problem. Unbelievable.
Yeah. She's she's definitely all on board 100% with the identity politics of the left. Has been for some time. I tried to get through some of her book, but I mean, it really is.
Is it a stretch?
It's really painful. I mean, it is.
So it's not an easy reader.
In the hypocrisy we're watching right now with the Stormy Daniels stuff, I guess that interview's supposed to air on Sunday if Donald Trump doesn't stop it. I find this amazing. Whatever allegedly happened 10 years before he became president. And if you go and look at polls and ask them their favorite.
Oh, Larry,
there we go. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we were cutting out for a second, yeah.
All right. Is this better?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, don't move.
Okay. Anyway, if you look at the polls of Democrats and ask them who their favorite modern presidents are, they will inevitably say Bill Clinton or John Kennedy, almost inevitably. And even though we have all these revelations about their sexual misbehavior, it hasn't altered their opinion. And I'm not saying it should. I'm just saying it's fascinating. We find out that JFK had swimming pool parties with hookers in the White House when Jackie was away. We know that Bobby was a serial cheater. We know that Ted Kennedy, aside from a Chappaquiddick, was accused of assaulting women in a very long article in 1990 in Gentleman's Quarterly. In fact, I read it, and he was still in the Senate, of course. And when I read it, Dan and Amy, I said to myself, this guy's going to resign tomorrow. Nobody cared. And then Bill Clinton was accused by a guy named Christopher Hitchens, a lefty who was well-respected, used to write for Nation magazine. He wrote a book called No One Left to Lie To and said Bill Clinton was accused not once, not twice, but 3 times of rape. Now, again, the book came out when Bill Clinton was in office, just as Michael Wolff's book came out when Trump was in office, and nobody cared about what Christopher Hitchens said, but everybody cared about what Michael Wolff said. This is the kind of double standard that's absolutely incredibly maddening.
Well, do you think President Trump should stop the 60 Minutes interview with Stormy Daniels?
I think that if she signed a non-disclosure agreement, the point behind a non-disclosure agreement is that you don't disclose. And if Donald Trump wants to enforce that, I would go ahead and try to enforce it. He's got enough money to do it. That's the reason that you have these NDAs, so that people don't speak. So, yeah, I would stop her if I could.
What concerns you most in terms of all the swirl around the Trump administration right now, whether it is personnel choices and change-ups or the Russian collusion novel that the D.C. press corps is writing, or all these personal peccadillo matters involving Stormy Daniels and former Playboy models and so forth? What's most concerning to you about the trajectory of the Trump administration at present, such that it impacts the electoral outcomes in November and, by extension, the policy agenda?
Well, it's all of it's a distraction, of course. I mean, any time that you're talking about Stormy Daniels, not talking about the economy, not talking about what the stock market is doing, not talking about the regulations that he's cut back, it's a problem. It is a problem. But we knew that when we hired him. We knew we didn't hire a choir boy, and he was running against a person who had credibly been accused of intimidating a rape survivor, Juanita Broderick, and I'm talking about Hillary, of course. And we're talking about somebody doing something about the borders, doing something about these ridiculous regulations, rolling back Obamacare. So we knew that we weren't hiring a choir boy. We knew that there were going to be these kinds of revelations. So that's what we bought. And I said before he got elected, Dan and Amy, that if Donald Trump were a president, he'd be the good, the bad, and the ugly. 2 days after I said that, Melania verbatim repeated what I said. So we hired somebody who was the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly is his behavior before he became president. And again, we were aware of that, and we knew that when we hired him.
But you're going to watch the 60 Minutes interview on Sunday, aren't you?
I'm going to tape it. I'll probably watch it later on, but I've got something to do Sunday night, but I'm going to tape it, yeah.
Let me ask you this question. I want to go back to a piece that was written a couple of years ago in The Atlantic about what African Americans lost by aligning as a community with the Democrats after the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act in the 60s. Mm-hmm. The argument was that most white politicians and voters assumed that the Civil Rights Revolution leveled the playing field, not only leveled the playing field, but tilted it in favor of African Americans. And the biggest problem that black voters face today, and this was ahead of the 2016 election, is that Democrats running for state or national office aspire to win black votes without appearing to be beholden to black voters. And up here in the North, what you have is something that wasn't addressed by the unmaking of Jim Crow during the Civil Rights era. You have you have de facto segregation in our schools, in our workplaces, in our neighborhoods, like in places like Chicago. And it seems to me that and it's this author who has different solutions than I would have, but it seems to me he's onto something with respect to what black Americans have lost by aligning 95% with Democrats, as they've lost an opportunity to have opportunity.
Well, the main thing that blacks have lost by aligning themselves with the Democratic Party is a breakdown of the nuclear family. Because of the so-called war on poverty that Lyndon Johnson launched with the best of intentions, in my opinion, what the government has done is to incentivize women to marry the government, and allow men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. Look, if you look at the 20-year period from 1940 to 1960, in 1940, 87% of blacks lived below the federally defined level of poverty. By 1960, just 20 years later, that number was about 47%. That's the biggest progress in any 20-year period for blacks in the history of America. Now, this took place well before affirmative action, well before set-aside, well before all the kinds of programs that the government set up to allegedly level the playing field. What I'm saying is, get out of the way, leave people alone, let them make their own decisions, don't distort their incentives, and the country will be just fine. What we've done, as I said, is we've incentivized people to marry the government and allowed men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. And we're not even having a discussion about the connection between the welfare state and the breakdown of the nuclear intact family.
I wanted to ask you about Mueller, because everywhere you look, people are saying President Trump should not fire Mueller, or he'll get impeached, or he should fire Mueller. What is this? Just fake news? Or do they have nothing else to drum up or manufacture?
I think so. You heard Huckabee Sanders say the other day, it's not even been discussed or contemplated within the White House. Now, I'm sure Trump has been angry at Mueller and has said all sorts of things. But look, if he fires Mueller, there will be a movement to impeach him. If he doesn't fire Mueller, there will be a movement to impeach him. The Democrats intend to try to impeach him if they take over the House. I believe, and I could very well be naive about this, but I believe, Dan and Amy, there are 20 or 30 Democrats who are adults. And in the unlikely event that the Democrats take over the House and try to impeach this man, there'll be 20 or 30 Democrats living in swing states, living in or Trump districts, who'll say, look, let's focus on where the country is going, because pretty soon there's going to be somebody in the White House with a D after his or her name. And if we impeach Donald Trump essentially for policy differences, they'll do the same thing to us. There'll be at least 20 or 30 Democrats that understand that point of view.
Do you have concerns about the status of the Republican Party right now, 7 months from those midterm elections, with all that is hanging in the balance as you're describing? What is it that you think Republicans should be doing, either substantively or from a messaging perspective, to seemingly reduce the enthusiasm gap between the two parties?
Right. Well, of course I'm worried. Whenever there's a first-term president in the off year, that president almost always loses seats. I think it's only happened twice in the country where that didn't happen. So, of course, I'm worried. And what the Republicans ought to do is make sure they run good candidates. This last election that we talked about in Pennsylvania, as far as I can tell, the other guy outworked the Republicans. So they got to run good candidates and stick to the knitting. Talk about the economy, talk about the borders, talk about the reduction in regulations, talk about the appointments, not only at the Supreme Court level, but at the appellate level and at the district level that Trump has been doing in a very quiet way. And then talk about the contrast between where the country would be and where it is right now if Hillary had won. That, to me, is what Republicans should be doing.
All right. He is Larry Elder, the host of the Larry Elder Show on these airwaves, 7 to 9 p.m. every weekday. And also, he's coming to town May 17th. We're having a cigar night at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. 560theanswer.com/cigar, 560theanswer.com/cigar to get tickets today. Larry, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Looking forward to it. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
Bye. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking